Hello.
Hello.
How's this? Okay.
Yeah. Needless to say,
We have a lot to talk about.
we do. How
Are you still busy?
uh, yeah, yeah.
I don't know why when you said you were almost home, like you're like coming in hot. All
It
I
was
could
like,
think of was the dog on Dumb and Dumber when he's like in that dog van and he just like catapults it over the
yeah, it was
that
like
was you.
that was me kind of. Oh man, I've so today I started the day by I was parking in a someone's like front of their house, and their
Yeah.
garbage can was right in the middle of all that. So I was kind of going around it, but I hit their garbage can, but it's rubber, right? Like it's just plastic. It has a giant steel border around the top of it. It took two gouges out of my truck, like two
Are you
inch long
serious?
gouges in the. I like wanted to cry. I was so mad
A
and so
trash can?
yeah. It's like but it's like they
Are
use
you
them
serious?
for like to keep the bears out. So it's like um steel border around it, and the steel just dug into my truck.
They're trying to keep you out. They're trying to keep the bears out. They're trying to keep
Yeah,
your truck out.
yeah. And then my phone, I have
Is
to get
it
my phone
is it
fixed.
damn
My phone broke.
okay? Please, okay, for any of our viewers who have seizures, look away, look away.
It's like a strobe light on my phone right now. Uh,
Jake, don't lie. You did that on purpose. This is a new app you downloaded.
yeah, it's a new.
You're like, you know me, guys, always partying, always
Yeah.
just
So if you see flicker,
ready for sure. If you see flickering,
oh, another
it's
good
either
one.
that trash can, it's either that
Yeah,
trash can warning you or it's your phone.
yeah. And then the other day it was good. Sunday for convention, we rode with Jared and Crystal. We get to their
Uh,
house and we're ready to go. And I step in the van and my pants rip like like a brand new suit. The pants just open
oh my gosh.
up and
Yeah, but the pants, I'm at blown pants.
blown pants. And then, but we had to go. We had to. So Jared grabbed a sewing kit. So we're just in the
Ah,
van
ah, ah.
with Jared and Crystal and the boys, and I'm just sitting in my boxers, and Chelsea's sewing up my pants. And then we were having
I
this
don't know
conversation.
why for a second I thought you were going to be sewing up your own pants. I don't know what foolishness got into me.
I
You're
would,
like, and I'm sitting there in my boxers, and you're like, and I'm not, and Chelsea's sewing my pants.
yeah,
I was like envisioning you with a little sewing kit. How silly.
it would have been a disaster. But then
You
we
would
are
have
in the
sewed them
car.
so tight, you would have just busted them again as soon as you put them back on.
Oh man. And then
Joe,
we're like in the car talking, and Crystal's talking about how like they have to tell the boys like at home you can like run around in your underwear, but like you don't go to someone else's house and like, you know, take off all your clothes. And I'm like, yeah,
yeah.
like you wouldn't be in someone else's car in your boxers just sitting there. Uh,
Oh, that is so good. So how did you, I mean, in my mind, a hand sewn job on a brand new suit, there's no sitting for you for the day. It's standing room only.
she did good. It didn't no incidents after she got
Okay, and I'm not
sewed
even
up, and
talking about the way that Chelsea sews.
she like
She
did it.
could be a good sewer,
Yeah.
and even then, a suit has a way to just betray you immediately, you know? I mean,
Yeah.
getting dirty for no reason, that's what Darren says anyways. With
Yeah.
brand new suits, they're like $500. The next thing you know, they're just filthy, ripped to shreds. It's like, what am I paying for?
I know. It's like we've bought in suits that were on sale before. This one we there was no sales and we needed a suit, so we I bought one
Yeah,
and
ripped.
it just blows apart in like a month.
Yeah, see, that's what I mean. Yeah, it doesn't have to be Chelsea sewing. I guarantee you, within a year, the only part of that suit that's still going to be together is the part Chelsea sewed.
I'm gonna have like tearaway sleeves.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, it'll just keep blowing. It's gonna keep blowing stuff. Yeah.
Thank goodness.
I don't know what the deal is. Anyways, I'm super excited about our guest today. I
Yeah,
want to just hear her tell us all the knowledge about health.
all the things.
Yeah,
So this is Sean's wife, Jess
yeah,
Sleemock, and she um she's gonna come with the facts and
yeah. I'm
with
excited.
some info. So Jess, are you there? Do you want to join us?
Hi.
Welcome, Jess.
Hey.
Hello. I love
Oh, it
that
looks
story about your pants
gorgeous.
ripping.
Oh my goodness.
Ah.
A way to start convention day, huh?
It was comical more than stressful because it was just like
Yeah.
stepping in and just hearing that giant rip was like God, you can only laugh at that point.
So good. It looks awesome there with the weather, Jess.
You
Where are
know,
you at?
we're in California, Long Beach, California. So
Nice.
we're originally from Seattle, like Jake, and moved down here 11 years ago just for the sunshine, and we got
You're
it.
getting it. You're getting it.
Yeah.
It looks amazing.
Yeah, we
She's a
actually have
good
just
one.
had the worst winter that we've had since we've lived here, like actual rain and rain and rain.
Really?
And then I hate the two terms, but it's true. We had May gray and then June gloom.
Oh man.
They drive me nuts. I hate it. Like everyone's like, oh, June gloom. But we really had them. And then just like 3 days ago, it's like 80 degrees and beautiful.
Oh
So
my gosh, gorgeous.
survived.
Nice.
Yeah. Where are you at?
Well, I'm in West Virginia
West Virginia.
and I'm actually helping a couple that just moved down to our hall. I'm just helping them in the area move. And
Okay.
they were like, we're gonna take a break, if you want to just do this and this project, we need to take a break, which I knew they would. And they have a little girl too who's homeschooled. So they're just going crazy. I'm like, yeah, I can help you out. And as soon as they left, I just went absolutely off the rail. I mean, just emptying boxes, putting stuff where they're never gonna find it, putting stuff away, you know? So it's been good, but I told Jake, I'm like, God forbid I turn this camera around and just think this is my home. Like, oh, nice person you've got there on your pod, total wreck. So I'm gonna keep the camera facing where it should.
Oh,
But
Yeah.
I'm so excited to hear about everything you're gonna tell us today. I feel like you've got some knowledge you're about to drop.
Yeah.
I don't
So
think
you
so.
kind of gave us footnotes last night, but can you tell the story like from your injury to like what you've learned from it and where you're at with it?
Yeah, so well, I was born in Spain. No, I said I wasn't going to do this. Let me try to condense this here. No, I was actually born in Spain, and my family, when we moved to the States, my parents have just always been really, I don't want to say anti-doctors because we're not, but just really lean towards natural wellness. So like I didn't even have like a family doctor growing up, and then
Mm.
I lived on an island, Whidbey Island, and when something did go wrong, you had to drive either off the island or I remember my first like real doctor's appointment was when I lost my hearing in seventh grade from an airplane. So that's
Oh my
like
God.
to doctors. So fast forward to 16, I hurt my back. I break my back snowboarding actually. And that
Oh,
led me to chiropractic. I had a cousin that did the billing for a chiropractor, and I had never been to one before that, and just really loved how it basically just helps your body heal itself if you take out any of the, distractions or the misalignments or subluxations. But that's kind of what led me down that road. And I went to school to be a chiropractic technician, which is like a nurse for a chiropractor. So worked in that field the whole time we lived in Seattle. So it wasn't until about those 11 years ago that we moved that I was still actually doing work for the doctors online, but it was hard to quit that whole thing. So that was just kind of what my expertise was in natural wellness. So we did acupuncture and massage therapy and sports therapy and just a bunch of different modalities. But in my 20s, after having my first daughter, I just had all these random health issues. My back healed up pretty well. and
Hmm.
so that was good as long as I was getting adjusted
I was
regularly.
gonna say, how does that even, I mean, you're just a teenager. I mean, I can't even imagine, you're just laying in the snow, like, well, here we are, mom and dad, call 911. Like,
Okay,
how
so
did that
that whole
transpire?
thing was funny because my mom had never taken me to the mountains ever. I was always going with other kids or other families. And this was the one time that my mom was like, I'll take you and your friend Tanea. It was Tanea Richards. And I'm like, okay. And it was the spring and it was icy. And I was doing things that I wasn't good enough to do.
Hmm.
As a teenager, going off of jumps
Yeah.
that I had no idea how to jump really. And I went off, so it was icy, and I went off the big tabletop jump in the park at Stevens Pass, and I landed on my butt instead of my feet. So all my
Oh,
vertebrae in my spine just compressed together and crushed one. And that's exactly what it felt like. It felt like my spine
okay.
was an accordion and just went like,
Ugh.
couldn't even like straighten out. I was just like stuck in that position. And I was right under the big tabletop jump, so then people are jumping
People are
over
coming
me. Yeah.
over.
So that was a little scary. But as a 16-year-old, my biggest fear was riding in the toboggan with ski patrol. So the guy
You
finally,
said, you know what? The guy I'm trying to impress is still
right,
up there. Put me in some kind of position that he
right,
knows what I've done.
right, exactly. I am not being strapped to that board and you take
Yeah.
me down this mountain. So I had the guy help me stand up and I boarded down the mountain, which
Wow.
shame on him because if I were to actually hit it even more, I could have been paralyzed actually.
Yeah, that is a nightmare.
Jeez.
So wild.
Okay, so now fast forward back again to where you were.
Okay.
You then started, so you were in that field,
Yeah.
but you were focusing more in on still the holistic side or not fully yet?
Yeah, just we dealt with a lot of other practitioners when I worked for the chiropractors. So we started.
Okay.
There was one point where I was managing 5 offices, and we had a little bit of everything within those 5 offices. So just that's just what I was drawn to. So I started
Mhm.
seeing naturopaths if I had something that was off, or I don't like the whole system of like going to the doctor and them throwing a medicine at you. The whole masking the
Yeah.
Band-Aid. I was just never into
Mhm.
that. So,
Mhm.
so fast forward to after having my oldest daughter, I really didn't feel good for a little bit and then was diagnosed with an autoimmune disease. So I have
Mhm.
Hashimoto's,
Oh,
which
okay.
is an autoimmune disease that attacks your thyroid and gives you low thyroid. Well, it turns out thyroid controls everything in your body. So
Mhm.
all these
Mhm.
weird random things can be related back to your thyroid. So
Yeah.
that started the endless, like, okay, try this, try that, try this. And even though it was still like on the holistic side, it was still just like band-aid solutions, right? Like,
Mhm.
or chasing after symptoms
Mhm.
and not really like how can you actually feel better long term.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then where do you feel like you're at with it now? Like, do you feel like you've figured out how to root it back?
Yeah, mostly. So, about a year and a half ago, I did this real extensive genetics testing, and to me, it just really made sense because it's not chasing the symptoms. So instead of being like, "Oh, I'm
Mhm.
tired. Why am I tired? Let's try all these things that will give me energy." It's like actually peeling back the layers way back to like your DNA. Actually, like what can you be
Mhm.
doing lifestyle wise that might help your situation, not just throw more supplements. The amount of money that I've
Mhm.
spent
Mhm.
on vitamins in the last 20,
Yeah.
it's ridiculous actually. So
Mhm.
When you say genetic testing, are you talking like 23andMe or are you talking like a different genetics
not
testing?
not 23andMe. That's one of the most common questions. So similar in the fact that you are DNA testing, you swab your cheek, but this test goes over 500 genes.
Mm.
And then on top of that, it's not just giving you the information, it's like, okay, now what do I do with that information? So it's really going over how to turn up the gene expressions that you want and turn down the ones that are not so ideal. So, and it is about what are you eating, how are you sleeping, your life, your mindset. I think that was something I've been missing for a long time, is getting a hold of my emotional health.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if it was going through the pandemic or what it was that made me like, okay, you gotta, and seeing in my genes that I actually am really impacted by stress and mindset. So that's something that I for sure need to pay attention to. So
That's so interesting that something like a genetic test can tell you something so intimate about yourself. I mean, like you were saying, people say 23andMe because they're thinking, do I have Scottish heritage? Well, let me find out. Well, okay, but like, how does that information really help me at all? I mean, my mom was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis when we were really young.
yeah,
I don't even really remember her going through it. I remember her being in bed a lot, and I remember her trying different things and it wasn't working. And finally, she went to a doctor who would put certain foods and grains, even like salt, on the tip of her tongue and then try to push her legs down, and she would resist. And I just remember that her diet changing cured her from having rheumatoid arthritis. From
wow,
then on, she continued, and still even now, it's not back, like maybe a little in her hands on and off. But ever since that, I mean, that experience, I think as a young person, I remember being like, that's crazy. Like, we've been to the doctor so many times, and now this, and even you saying your emotional well-being, your how you look at life, all those things have something to do with it, which is really fascinating.
yeah. It's incredible and funny that you say the genetics, like the Scottish and all that, because I'm actually a big nerd for that side of it too.
Yeah, yeah,
I love that stuff. Like, where did your
yeah.
family come from? I'm, oh, but this. So I'm actually, my daughter, the older one, was gifted a ancestry.com kit, I think years ago when she graduated
Uh-huh.
middle school. And I'm the one in there like adding people to her family tree. And I was like, oh my goodness, we had family that were Quakers. And like, I'm just like, love that stuff. So it's funny to
That's
compare
so funny.
the
Yeah.
two sides, the genealogy part of it with the health side of it. It's
We did that for my dad because he's like that too. He's really into it. And he loves American Indian history.
yeah,
And so he was very devastated to find that he had no, none of that was happening. And he was so devastated because he was convinced, that he was, for whatever reason. And, we've convinced him now because he's 84. We're like, it lied. Don't worry about it. Rest
right.
in peace. It's fine.
What's funny is like almost everyone has Native American come up on their testing.
Right. He literally had like two relatives in Maine. And that was it. He's like, Carol and Bertha, really? Like, that's it? Me and Jenna were even mad about it. We're like, that's all we get? Really? Like, come on.
You're
I
looking
have
for like a
But,
two.
rich uncle or something.
Yeah.
right? I'm like, what about like Uncle Ed? Nothing? Still nothing on that guy?
Still not- I have two grown nephews that live in Wales. Well, one's in
Uh-huh.
Wales, one in Scotland, and I'm always like, we're Irish, Scottish, and Welsh, and I'm like, do you ever try
Uh-huh.
to look up our family and go to where they
Yeah.
live? And they're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, you Americans are so obsessed with this." I'm like, this country is so young, like we don't know. You can actually
We
go
know
where our
nothing.
ancestors were.
Right.
Still
Sorry
there.
that we're not in Italy, like with our great, 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 great grandma making pasta in the
Right.
kitchen. Like back in the day, like we have nothing going on for us over here.
Yeah.
What so you were born in Spain. What led to like were your parents are American, right? Or are they
Yeah.
or no, they're Canadian.
No,
Canadian?
they're American. They're
American.
from Southern California.
Okay.
So they went from Southern California to Virginia to serve where the need was great in 1963, and from there to Barcelona in
Gotcha.
'69 when the work was under ban.
Oh wow.
Uh, so they have really cool stories. So my sister and I were
That's
born
cool.
in Spain.
Oh wow.
Nice.
That's cool. Um, Going back to the genetics and all that, as far as what you do for your work now, what how did you like what do you do with that as far as helping other people with it?
Yeah, so I just loved it so much as far as the results that I got, and just how you actually only test one time because our genes themselves don't change. We can change by lifestyle, their expression, but I was doing all this functional testing, with all these doctors and paying so much money with all this
Hmm.
stuff. To have just a one test and never test again and have a blueprint that I can come back to for the rest of my life. So I loved it so much that I have added that service into my health coaching services. So I'm an aromatherapist, so I do all that with the essential oils and everything, which I love also, but this is really just like makes it all come together. So I offer where you can get your DNA tested, and then I go through this report with you. So it's 500 genes. And then, depending on what your main goals are at first, I help you lifestyle wise, like what are we going to focus on first, and then a couple follow up sessions too, because it's so much information, it can be overwhelming, and we don't want you like, I have to change my whole life at once. But
Hmm.
just kind of focus on what's going to be most beneficial for you according to your genes to start with. And then if you want to come back once you've got a handle on that, then I can help you. And again, you're never testing again. We're just going back to that same report. So you get this beautiful printout with all the information and exactly what you should focus on. And then, yeah, that blueprint that you'll have forever back to. It's
That's
beneficial.
amazing.
Cool.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I had built this like pattern for myself where I was like, because I'm into health, so I'll read like a book or I'll read this doctor what he has to say and be like, that's it, we're doing this, everyone's going, we're going
Yeah.
dairy free now, or we're going whatever
Yeah.
it is. Like I've done that since I was trying to think back. It's been since I was like 12 years old is when I decided to be a vegetarian, just because I read something about how
Yeah.
being vegetarian is good. And that's a long time to be in this pattern of like,
Let
and I
me
wouldn't,
fix
it's
this
like,
or
yeah, yeah. Like there's always something wrong. I'm gonna hop on a
hmm
trend, which I'm not like that with other things. So why would I be? Yeah, so it's just nice to kind of break that pattern.
hmm
Cool.
That's interesting.
And
Have
then
you seen anything that you feel like was like an outstanding where you're like, wow, this is not that it's simple, well, I guess in a way, doing a genetic test, looking at it, this is me, like this is what's inside of me, in a way is so complex but simple at the same time,
Yeah.
as opposed to, like you were saying, you go into someone's house, who's even in their 40s or 50s, and they have, maybe 5 to 8 medications. Well, then they have to take these supplements. And then, well, let me go off these medications. Well, let me do, and so, like you're saying, is there been anything that you have personally for you or a client, thought to yourself, oh, well, this person has trouble sleeping and all they had to do was find this in the genetic test and it
Mm.
helped them, or, something like
Yeah.
that you were like, if only everyone knew like how simple, I'm using that word loosely, how simple this could be for them, how improved their life would be.
Yeah, well, for me, one of the things with my Hashimoto's that I've struggled with for years is weight, losing weight. Like I can gain weight like no one's business, but to lose it is
Mhm.
like ridiculous. And it turns out I was eating way too much protein for
Mhm.
which everything that I've read is like, paleo. I did paleo for
Oh
years.
yeah.
Everything's like up your protein. Women should have more protein, protein, protein.
Oh my gosh. And
If
then
I
yours
eat
is like, no.
yeah, if I eat more than 20% of my macros as protein, it turns to fat immediately. So that's one. All the like fermented stuff, the kombucha, which I was making my own kombucha because it's so good for you, right? Actually, fermented things are like the worst for me. And I was like constantly inflamed. Like I would even
Mhm.
be red on my chest and all that kind of stuff. So collagen, bone
Interesting.
broth, kombucha, sauerkraut, all those things that are fermented are actually one of the worst things for me. And so just taking that out, I have felt so much
Interesting.
less inflammation, which inflammation causes so many other,
Yeah.
so just that was huge.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of some other people.
Speaking just briefly about that, like you were saying about inflammation, and this is just funny because Darren and I are also constantly looking for, we're the 12-year-old you apparently, and we're still there, so we need your coaching bad. Um, we just got the red algae,
Mm,
um, I think it's called Vlasta,
yeah.
the red algae in the pump, and we've been taking that for about 3 weeks. And I mean, on top of a couple other supplements, I wouldn't say we're going crazy,
Yeah.
but we definitely both take 3 other supplements each a day, probably. And now we're doing the red algae that we've been on for about 3 weeks because very strange. It's very similar to what you're saying. If I, everyone goes on and on about Metamucil. They're like, have Metamucil, it'll change your life. And I'm like, it changed my life, all right. I was bloated for 3.5 weeks while everybody else was living in ecstasy over their bathroom breaks. And I'm like, what the heck is this about? Why? But it does seem like that. Everything people suggest to me that helps bloating, it's the opposite for me. And everything that Darren does to help his sleep, he's awake all night.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so it's interesting that you're talking about that and the inflammation because that's kind of like our last thing right now that we're like, well, I guess let's give this a whirl.
Yeah.
Until Jake mentioned you coming on, and then I was like, well, maybe we should do this. Maybe we should do this genetic testing.
Yeah, well, I do see a common denominator, like with the algae, it's because it's so high in minerals. So there are some common
Mhm.
things that I think most people do really well with. Minerals is one of
Okay.
them. Where even if you're
Okay.
eating as clean as you can eat, the soil's depleted. We're not getting, you can't. So
Yeah.
you have to, in this modern society, we do have to supplement with some things. So minerals is
Okay.
one of those things. And I think, a lot of people are used to taking vitamins, but they forget the minerals. So I'm a big
Okay.
advocate for everyone taking some form of electrolytes or minerals added to. So I think that's a good
Okay.
choice. Then I think
Okay.
most of us do really well with antioxidants, boosting those. So I haven't seen anyone's genetics say you need less antioxidants. I think that's
Mm.
one of the things, all the berries and the red berries that are so good for us because that's again reducing the inflammation. It's counteracting the free radicals and the
Okay.
oxidative stress. So antioxidants, minerals. I think everyone in our society could do good on a digestive enzyme just because I have a cool little tool that's kind of like a biofeedback tool that it tests you with little frequencies and then it tells you what essential oils or supplements you need the most. I'm going to tell you every single person has digestion on there, whether they think they have a digestive issue or not. Everyone.
Oh,
I think again it goes back to no matter how clean you're eating, our food is just not what it
yeah.
should have been or was originally. So I
Mm.
think those are something that everyone, no matter what your genes, so far in the people that I have seen their gene reports, everyone can do benefit from those things. But yeah, something that works for me will not work for Sean, because our genes are
Mhm.
completely different. So it's amazing. I just think it's really
Interesting.
cool, and it just adds to like how everything in the body's connected and how wonderfully
Definitely.
made we are.
Yeah. So the big three are enzymes, minerals, and antioxidants. Those are kind of across the board going to be good for everyone. But then being able to pinpoint things that might be good for you but not someone else, that that's the part that can help with like sleep and energy and
Yeah.
things like that.
Yeah, so on the report, it's kind of divided into sections. So sleep is its whole section. So sleep onset, are you someone that can fall asleep really easily, but then you're up at 2 o'clock in the morning, or do you have trouble
Mm.
falling asleep? So that's its whole section. Stress and mood regulation. So cortisol is a big part of that. And just if you're someone that's affected by emotional stress, some people are not as much as others. Again, that's why we can go through the
Mm.
same, here we all went through the pandemic. Some people breeze through, and some people are like, I'm losing my mind.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exercise was a big one. So that was when I've always felt good exercising, but with Hashimoto's, I'd read where maybe it's not that good that you're going to tax your adrenals, but then I loved running. And then
Oh
So
my.
that's this whole thing where you know exactly what type of exercise is best for you, um, which I should be doing all types of exercise all the time. My body loves it. So that was kind of cool to see that I didn't have to second guess, like, oh, maybe running's not good for me. Maybe I should do Pilates or something. Well, actually, do it
I
all.
would love it if Darren did it and he had to do Pilates. That would make me laugh so hard.
I
Because
know. Yeah.
we just had a sports therapist sister here, and she gave Darren 2 massages. I mean, he was downstairs like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And she was like, do you ever like stretch? Or he's like, I run and I lift weights. And I'm upstairs just like, preach it, sister, preach. And so he's been trying to roll out with his, the foam roller.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, excruciating pain.
Yeah, that's intense.
Yeah. And I'm just over here with a glass of wine, and I won't say I told you so, but I'm like, is that upsetting? Is that hurting? Oh,
I love it.
prayers for your IT band.
What about as far as the aromatherapy part? What role does that play?
Yeah.
Is it linked to the genetics part, or is it? I don't. What's the
Like
role?
relaxing the mind or something.
Yeah.
It plays a big role. So it seems like maybe it's not connected, but it is. So a lot of the things that show up on your report, I can actually recommend an oil for that, or like on my report, it showed that I'm really sensitive to toxins. So taking, getting rid of toxic candles and toxic plugins, and making sure what you clean your house with is really clean. Everything's synthetic. I'm like pollution and all that stuff I'm super sensitive to. So oils are a good replacement for a lot of that. And then a part of the big section with nutrition is whether you're sensitive to glutamate, which can be in gluten, but it's also in a lot of other grains. And part of getting one of the best ways to rid your body of glutamate is frankincense, bergamot, copaiba. So different oils can help in different areas depending on what your genes say. And then, yeah, a big part of the stress relief for sure, just with how our olfactory system is connected to the part of our brain that handles emotions is really cool. Our limbic system. So yeah, I use those in addition to the genetics.
Cool.
Okay. And would that also include kind of like, how that whole thing of like what your family has been through, or what your parents were going through, or how they were when you were growing up, the stress and the cortisol and different, and of course that's situationally too,
Yeah.
but I feel like a lot of that would affect people's sleep, and whether they never worked through something, if cortisol is just still coursing through, is that a thing that could years later still affect someone drastically, would you say, emotionally, for their sleep and stuff like that?
Yeah, for sure. So in the genetics test, it's not what you're dealing with right now. So it's not like, oh, on your blood work it says you need to do this. So
Okay.
it's more like your entire life you are more susceptible to being affected by high cortisol levels. So it's not reading that you
Mhm.
have high cortisol levels. It's okay, you need to pay attention to that area. The things that would cause that is what we're going to try to bring down lifestyle wise,
Mm,
like for all of time, all of your life, you should be doing
interesting.
these things. So um, but that being said, I've cut back on like my blood tests that I do for my autoimmune, where I'm only going once, maybe twice
Hmm.
a year if I know I'm feeling off, like with my thyroid or something. But other than
Mm,
that, I was at one point getting blood work done like every 3 months, and then, oh,
oh,
try this and do that. And it's too much. You got to give your body like a
a
baseline.
break. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
No, I was just gonna ask about, if there was a certain type of way that someone should go about, learning all that stuff, and just saying that we could link something for you, for them to do it. AKA email me your personal link.
Yeah, I think
But yeah.
where I talk about it the most is on Instagram, so you can find me there.
Okay.
But you can email me also.
No, that
So,
would be great.
yeah,
I'm sure it's all on your Instagram, right?
it is on my Instagram, and I'm working on doing a master class on the genetics part of it. But
Oh,
so
nice.
advertising when I put that out there, just to kind of give more information at once
Yeah.
instead of little bits and pieces here on Instagram. But yeah, that's probably the best place to start as far as getting in touch with me.
Okay.
Have you noticed does being in a warm climate or like more sun help as well? Like does vitamin D play a giant role too in not even like with you, but just like
Yeah.
is that part of what people should be focusing on as well?
Yeah, most people need more vitamin D. So everyone's afraid of the sun. um, and you definitely have to respect it. It's like the ocean, you got to give it its respect, but
Mhm.
it's so good for us for so many things. So that was interesting. We moved to California for sunshine. Like we both grew up in the Seattle area, and the older we got, it was really hard. Those winters were getting harder and harder. And my parents that were from Southern California, they retired, they lived in Washington also. They retired in Napa Valley. So I could see my mom definitely had seasonal depression, and her moving back to the sun, I could see that in her. And so for us, we were just like, let's give it a go. So that's why we moved it for our moods, really, just to help with the
Yeah.
regulating the moods. In my genetics, I did learn that I don't actually convert sunshine to vitamin D. So
Ah,
that's something you can learn also if you need to always supplement. So that is a supplement I will take for the rest of my life. And I was taking anyways, but I get a lot of sunshine, but my body's
Nice.
not converting it. So, so even like little details like that, like what vitamins.
Interesting.
And another one, I was taking zinc. Every doctor had me on zinc. My body actually holds on to zinc really well. I never have to buy another bottle of zinc. So
Unreal.
like really just like pinpointing exactly. It's awesome.
Hmm.
Love it. So I actually end up saving money, even though it was an investment to do the testing and everything. It's you end up like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm not gonna buy that collagen because collagen's not good for me. I'm not gonna do,
yeah.
jump on that next thing. But yes, vitamin D, I think everyone needs it. And then the sunshine's good even just for everything else, like the morning sun for regulating our circadian rhythm. So if you're having trouble
Hmm.
getting that sunshine in your eyes in the first 20 minutes, even have you heard that wearing sunglasses are not great for you? That was
No,
a
I haven't heard that one yet, but just,
yeah.
I mean, I'm not shocked that this is
Right.
something we're doing wrong.
Right, that's just how our bodies were made to we take that sunlight in our eyes and it triggers all those chemical reactions in our body so that we're not going to burn as easily. It's like, okay, you're in the sun. I think
Mm.
Oh,
sunglasses were just invented what, 150 years ago?
wow.
I don't know, don't quote me on when they were invented, but not that long ago.
Come
When you
for
wear
us,
sunglasses,
Ray-Ban. Come for us. We'll see
yeah,
what you got to say for yourselves.
Right.
big sunglasses gonna come after us.
I know.
Right?
I love
All the big
sunglasses. It's just
sunglass corporations.
Yeah,
They were deep in our DMs. No, no more. Unfollowed us immediately.
we're gonna lose our future Ray-Ban sponsor.
Oh
Right, we
no.
were so close,
We're
but you
so
know what? The
close.
truth is more important. The truth is more important.
Oh man.
But that's really fascinating. So if for would you say if there was like a maybe a top two essential oils or three that you would recommend for sleeping? And then also I'd like to know if you did have a recommendation for digestive enzyme. If you were like, listen, people, get these five things.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all I'm saying. Would is there things like that you're like, I wish people would just do this?
Yeah, for sure. So for sleep, I love cedarwood. So cedarwood helps stimulate your brain to create your own melatonin. Um,
Okay.
well, it's not at a lot of people, and you can see in your genetic report, a lot of people actually don't do good taking melatonin. Some do really good, but if you can stimulate your body to make your own, that's ideal. So cedarwood is my top one, and then orange.
Okay.
So you think of citrus oils as being mood boosting and uplifting, but orange actually has some constituents in it that help with insomnia, and I love the two paired together. There's
And you put
lavender.
that in a diffuser or you?
You can put it in a
Okay,
freezer,
okay.
or you can make a roller, or both. If you're really having issues, I would do both.
I would say Darren would probably need to fill the bath and he would need to submerge his body into those two oils.
Or
He
both.
can't take melatonin, just like you were
Okay.
saying.
Yeah.
He
Yes.
cannot take melatonin.
Yeah.
Um,
And
anything really that people say to take for sleep, he will do it and he will be up all night long. He has very kicking, like the agitated legs too. And
oh
it's
yeah.
on a timer. Like if I time it in my mind, it will be like every this amount of seconds, he'll kick his legs, or I should say, kick me, which can cause some problems.
So magnesium. So we're back to the minerals. So magnesium's the huge one for the legs, the kicking, and it helps with sleep also. But there's 7 different types of magnesium. So the one
Right.
that I find beneficial, especially for legs, like restless legs, is the one that you can put on topically. So just buying a magnesium oil, like on Amazon they
I
have it.
did get him a magnesium lotion from a homeopathic lady here in town. So who
Ooh,
knows what's in there, but
I like the sound of that.
right. And I did make him rub it on his feet a couple times, and he
Yeah.
did seem to feel like it was doing something.
Yeah, so I
Yeah.
would do that real regularly, and even all up is on the legs themselves you can do, especially if
Go
he's,
wild with it.
yeah, go wild with the magnesium.
Okay.
And then lavender, of course, everyone knows about that, but my husband doesn't love lavender, so I'm never putting that in the diffuser. You have to kind of choose what
Right.
you use, not
Yeah.
you're going to use it, it's not going to help you. But the cedarwood and orange is my go-to.
Cedarwood and orange. Okay. Very nice. And what about the digestive enzymes?
So I take the ones, so Young Living has some digestive enzymes that we like that are kind of good all the way around. If you are someone that's having more issues with fats, specifically digesting fat, so there's different ones depending on
Foods.
what it is that you're having an issue digesting.
Oh,
For
okay.
fat, I like one called Capex. Um, Mazizymes from Biooptimizers is really good, like kind of
Mhm.
general one also. If it's gluten specifically, this one's really budget friendly. Digest Gold is a
Okay.
really budget friendly one that helps you digest gluten. So it kind of can depend on what it is. If you
Yes.
know that you're having an issue digesting more fiber or more fats or something, you can kind of tailor
Okay.
do that. But just for in general, I like Young Living's just basic digestzyme, it's called.
Okay.
So,
Nice. Well,
yeah,
thank you for those tidbits.
yeah.
Hmm. Well, thanks for coming on. That was super like
So informative.
informative.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. I'm going to be checking that out for sure and letting Darren know, that he needs to do a deep dive of
Yeah.
Jess's Instagram. Get with it, babe. Come on. You can do it again. We're going to do this again.
Stop
We
kicking
just,
Melissa.
oh, yeah, we just swabbed Sean's cheek, so I'm curious what my husband Sean's genes are gonna tell us.
Oh,
Uh-oh.
are you
Ooh, you'll
taking
have
care
to
of
talk
yourself
about it.
episode coming up?
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll have to talk about that for sure. That's
And if he'll
cool.
do what I tell him to do, that'll be another. He's been pretty good actually about listening to me.
Did he do like a 9-day thing with you on it? I think he was posting it like a 9-day fast or like a 9-day Ningxia
Oh yeah,
thing or
drinking
something.
ninja. Yeah, he did. It's 14 days, and actually, it really helped him even more than me. So he needs. That was kind
Wow.
of eye-opening to see what is going on with him because I think a lot of his stuff
Interesting.
is inflammation. Just working on his feet. Construction can be rough
Yeah.
on the joints, and he gets achy feet. So it helped with
Yeah.
that, which was kind of something I wasn't thinking. I was thinking more for energy throughout the day and just feeling generally good. But he
Hmm.
was like, my feet don't ache at night. So that was
Oh,
kind of
Wow.
that's cool. All right. Well, thanks for coming on.
thanks for having.
Uh, I want to hear what songs you have for us.
Oh. Okay, this was pressure because it's like, what songs represent me if I'm just telling 3 songs for the rest of my life? But I did look at your playlist and I noticed you do not have any Strokes on there, which the Strokes are
Oh,
one of my top 3
Nice.
favorite bands.
Oh,
So
that's
I'm gonna
awesome.
do one of their newer songs, "The Adults Are Talking."
All right.
Okay.
Love it. And then I love "Just Breathe." So it's a Pearl Jam song, but I love when Eddie Vedder sings it. But I'm gonna choose
Mm.
Willie and Lucas Nelson's version.
Willie and Lucas Nelson. That's cool.
Willie Nelson and his son Lucas. Have you heard
I've
it?
never heard his son.
Come
Okay,
on.
Jake, you got to do it.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah,
Not that
so
I
our
need another country singer to fawn over for weeks on end.
well, he sounds really similar to his dad, but he can do all different sounds. Like he's got a real big mix of what he
All
does.
right.
So,
That's
yeah,
cool.
Brody sent us to see Willie Nelson right before COVID, and it was Willie Nelson and family, and we're like, "What's the family?" It's his two sons that tour with him. So
Oh,
Lucas.
cool. They're coming here next month, just like an hour up the road. It's Willie Nelson and his family and
Wow.
Bob Dylan. And
Oh,
Oh,
Willie
wow.
Nelson, Bob Dylan, and maybe Robert Plant or something crazy like that.
oh, funny. Yeah, funny
Yeah.
mix.
They play the where Woodstock was is like an hour up the road.
Oh,
It's called Bethel Woods. It's like a amphitheater. So all summer there's shows there, but
yeah.
pretty big bands come there.
Oh, I got tickets to Sturgill Simpson for Sean, so he's so happy.
Did they
We're
go on
going.
sale already?
Oh.
He's coming here in October or November, and I really want to go.
Yeah, pre-sale
Wow.
for us here was just last week, I think is
Okay, I
another
gotta
thing.
look that up because I really want
That's
to do that.
awesome.
He's only played like 2 shows in like 4 years.
Sean was like, out of control. Like, have all your alarms set? And then it was so stressful because it was like, you know how pre-sale goes when it says it's
Yeah.
available and you put it and it's gone. And I was like, I'm not even gonna get the
Oh my
tickets.
gosh. I didn't know it was
But
like already happening. I gotta look into that. I gotta see.
Oh my gosh.
okay, so my third one is The Killers, Read My Mind. I love it.
All right.
Love the Killers. That's
Cool.
a good one.
What do you got, Melissa?
I'm gonna go with some old school soft 60s. I'm gonna do Spooky by Dusty Springfield.
Hmm.
Nice.
And I'm gonna do I'd Rather Go Blind by Etta James.
That's a good one.
I love that one. I think that's all I'm gonna do this week. I'm just gonna do two because I've got two more. I want to save them.
Okay. I had like saved ones I wanted to post, and then because of that, I'm having a really hard time.
You mean because of your strobing, because of your 24/7
My
raging?
strobe light. One of them I just want
Don't blame the phone, Jake. Don't blame the phone just because we have a guest on that you respect and you want to act like you are so mature.
I swear I have my stuff together. I swear.
I swear this isn't an app that I can turn on and change the colors like all the teens are doing these days.
Did you see Chelsea's video on how to turn your screen red? If you
Yes, Darren watched it so many times trying to do his.
That was smart.
Yeah.
Did he
He was
figure it
like,
out?
"Did you know about this? Did you know?" I was
Can
like,
you do
"No,"
it
and
on your
I'm
phone
trying to
or is it
listen.
only iPads?
Can you do it on? No. Yeah, I do it. Well, I mean,
On your phone.
like
And that's what happens.
you yeah, like that.
Oh, oh, okay. I'll go
It's so
through.
cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, so Chelsea reads at night. It's better
yeah,
for your eyes to not have that brightness. So good for scrolling too.
yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you feel like you need to scroll more, if you need more scrolling
If
time,
you do need to scroll, Darren and I just came up with a deal, which was if you're going to be in bed, don't watch 5 minutes of a movie in the middle of the movie and then go to the next movie and watch another 5 minutes of that movie in the middle on full volume, full brightness for 30 minutes.
wait, you'll start a movie and just watch 5.
No, Darren will somehow, he's gotten on this thing. I don't know when this started, but it's got to end. He's on Facebook, right? He's on Facebook Marketplace looking for the deals to relax. So he was putting on the dark mode, right?
Yeah.
And the brightness was down.
Yeah.
Well, now he'll get on there and it'll be like The Breakfast Club, and it'll be like, I told you, Jimmy, you better quit it right now. And I'm like, what are you watching? And he's like, I have no idea. But it's like the crux of the whole movie. And
Oh,
then when that's over, he goes on to the next crux, and it'll be like Empire Records, and he's like, and it's the crux of that movie. And then he scrolls on to the next crux. And by the end, you're so amped up over all these movies crescendoing that you can't sleep. And so now it's brightness down, volume off, turn on the red light, roll over, do your head massager. It's a whole ordeal, Jess. It's a whole ordeal.
Let's
We
say
need
this
Jess. We need
step
Jess.
one in the sleep part.
yeah, I know. And Darren, and you're saying Darren has sleep issues?
Right. Right. At this point, I give up. I'm like, we've done it all. We've done the magnesium lotion. We've done the no phones. We've done the airplane mode on the phones. We've done the blackout curtains. We've done the melatonin. We've been addicted to NyQuil. I don't know what else to do. What are the other options?
But in all of those scenarios, is Darren watching like the crescendo of Dumb and Dumber, like
Oh my gosh.
on full
Well,
volume?
I think at that point in our life, he was watching like old school 70s cops, like real life arrests,
Oh yeah, that's Sean. Sean loves the real
right?
life arrest.
Real life arrests.
So,
It's
and they
so
took a long
upsetting.
time to arrest these people.
Oh
It's
my
a long
word.
video.
It's like a 45-minute long movie, and the guy's finally getting out of the car. And Darren's like, he got him out. And I'm like, I don't care. I don't care.
Totally.
I have to go to bed immediately.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Well, can I
Anyways,
do some song?
well,
Can I
what?
do a song?
I mean, I guess it's your pod.
I listened to Silverchair the other day. Remember Silverchair?
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So I'm gonna do a Madman from Silverchair. And I'm gonna do Madness by Prince Buster.
Ooh, I don't know that.
I don't know
And
what that is.
We Own the Sky by M83.
Oh, I love that one.
Yeah.
I really like that song. Well, this has been a blast, and
This
I
has
cannot
been
wait to
fun.
sign up for my genetic testing.
Yay. Thanks for having me, you guys. That was fun.
And we're probably gonna ask you back if you're ever up for it.
Yeah, for sure.
I am curious how many people are going to be DMing us. Where's the info? So we'll link it.
We're gonna post your Instagram. And thanks for all the info.
Yeah.
Oh, and the quick connect. Yeah, take the picture. And the quick connect is also Jess's husband is in your other pod too.
What's that?
The
Oh, yeah, Sean's.
are you taking care of yourself?
Yeah, so maybe me and
Sean.
Darren can grill him on his
Yeah, that would be
Well,
cool.
What if we have you on? Are you taking care of yourself? And you air out Sean's genetic information to.
Okay. Yeah. Do it.
But there has to be a deal that she's only going to air out Sean's if Darren agrees to do it.
Oh.
Jake's like, never mind, it'll never happen.
Yeah, I think Darren would do it.
I think he would do it. Because he's so desperate to sleep and get better that he will do it.
Yeah.
Honestly. Well, anyways, it was amazing. I love you guys. This was fantastic. Thank you, Jess.
Thank you,
Thank
Jess.
you.
Good to see you.
You.
All right.
All right.
Bye.
Bye, guys.